Hello everybody, and welcome back. For this finale of Doom Eternal, what I did instead of standard gameplay was I played all the way up to the ending and recorded most of all of it so I could talk about it because I had too much like dead time where I was just focused on exploring or what may have you. So I left off the last episode in the middle of a firefight. Typical me, I ran out of time and didn't time manage properly. However, now I can. So we whoop some demons here and some marauders, and we move on to this rural-like landscape where it's more jungle-like, but yet has some signs of life. Where we encounter a new enemy type, which are like these steel imps type ordeal, where they're supposed to be impervious, but I've noticed that they're only impervious during their charge-up attack. Now, they are kind of easy to dismantle. They're just annoying because if you have three or more of them, they can all charge at you at the same time. But you just give them a quick stomp and you say hello, and they're good to go. And then after that, we have this little puzzle section. And I like that. I like the maneuverability puzzles where you kind of have to rely on the super shotgun, the meat hook, ability to, traverse the area. So I think that's pretty nice. And you literally ride a fucking dragon. Like, what? What, bro? That's pretty fucking awesome. And as soon as you land, I mean as soon as you land, you're thrown into the fray, given no time for rest or reprieve. You're thrown right into it, which I think is good. It preps you for what's coming. I guess the finale of it, I mean, we are nearing the end of it all. However, I do like the diversity in terrain and how the levels look throughout. I'm going to call them levels because I would imagine that if this was old style Doom, it would all be separate. So I do like how different areas of this look rather than everything being tonal and one-sided. I think that was the big thing with 2016 was a lot of areas were kind of tonal and could look the same and similar. I would find myself saying, wasn't I just here? But in Eternal, everything's kind of embellished and improved upon. I'm excited to play the Dark Ages, honestly. I can't wait to play that, but we go through and we're battling just onslaughts of demons, which is good. It's good for the soul. It's good for the Slayer, too. He gets all his anger out. And I hate those things. I hate the little pedestal eyeball things. I can't stand them. They're annoying as hell to deal with. But we get a nice little puzzle section here. So here's a little break where we get to just do a little jump and twist and climb up. But don't think that's the end of it because it's not. After doing this little shotgun doohickey and landing our feet back on solid ground, we're thrown into one last battle to rule them all. Well, two of them actually, because this one leads into the other one, but I guess you could just call it one. They just kind of give you a little fake out and let you think that it's over before it actually is over. And I love how I love how they do that. I mean, it kind of takes you by surprise, and sometimes you're not ready for it. I found myself a couple times back, oh fuck, and just not having enough ammo because I'd just be rushing everything about. But then, after all that, we get this little cool cutscene.
He is worthy.
this area here where we have to get the crystal for the Gate of Doom is surprisingly tame. Just having more of a focus on the puzzle traversing aspect of it, I found myself just kind of, you know, taken in by the atmosphere of it, constantly looking over my shoulder, which Doom does a pretty good job of that, where you kind of don't feel as if any step you take is safe. You're just kind of questioning what you can or can't do, or what you should or shouldn't do. I kind of love how they do that. They make your character feel like a badass, but you are still, looking over your shoulder and enjoying the atmosphere. So we get the crystal, and then we kind of move on from there.
This is the only way into the most ancient part of hell. The Dark Lord will be there waiting for you.
Back here on Earth, it's gone to hell, it's gone to shit, so it's called Reclaimed Earth and not Earth because, it's hell on Earth. Yeah, that sentence was a whole lot of nothing, but we got a new enemy type, cursed enemies. If you are cursed, you cannot damage them. You have to give them a blood punch and thwack them. So you're traversing areas that seem familiar. They're almost familiar, except they're destroyed, decimated. So, a lot of enemies. A lot of enemies. This is the longest portion of the game. There are a lot of puzzle aspects and a lot of action sequences, so I think that honestly this was one of the best parts. The main goal of this section is to turn the power back on, because about halfway through, when everything seems like it's going to be copacetic, the power has been turned off, so you have to play electrician and find some switches and turn them back on, complete with the whole underwater section, which I do appreciate because it kind of changes the scenery a bit and changes the pacing. You go from these high-speed, high-octane sections to kind of just enjoying the area for what it is and seeing how far the depths are, and you get immediately thrown back into the action, which you spring out of the water with the little goopy goops that if you stand in it too long you will be destroyed. More action sequences, and finally you get to the area, the station area, which I do love this jump here. I was a fan of it. So you kind of have to use this Caco demon as a way to get to the entrance, which I do think is a lot of fun. Now, the station itself is littered with a bunch of demons. I mean, obviously, they're like, hey, no, do not let the Slayer through. But we end up fighting our way through anyway, so their attempts are futile at best. And at worst, they are weaklings beneath the Slayer. Nothing can stop this vengeance. So after fighting slew upon slew of enemy, we finally are met with what we're looking for, which is the gate itself. After this little section here, we go into this. I do love the way that the gate looks here. It's so crazy looking. It looks like it could just be this orbital laser, or, like I said in the other video, orbital portal. Now this part is very special because the Sentinels march along with you, which is fucking awesome. But there's one gripe with this level that unfortunately I do have, and that's you don't face the big bad demon, the gigantic motherfucker there in the cutscene. You have nothing involved with that, which I think is a big miss. But at the same time, this level is so fast paced that it's okay. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens. This is like the highest rush of an area that you'll have throughout all of the Ancient Gods Part 2. It's the most octane field. You feel powerful. You feel like you could just take on the entirety of hell. And you do. I mean, you do. That's the whole premise of it, is that you do. But I do love how the pacing is operated at this point, being that it's at the highest it's been. The whole point of this section being you want to get to the Dark Lord, and believe me when I tell you they make you work for it, which is a good thing. I mean, if it was just some easy little trek, then it would be kind of disappointing. However, there is something that I'll explain it when the time comes that I just wasn't that big of a fan of with the scaling of this certain section. But anyway, yeah, through this whole section you will find various landscapes, which again I think they did a really good job of design wise. There's a lot of different things you'll see that you'll encounter, a lot of different areas, and kind of not tight roping, but you will find certain areas that seem a lot more different than the other, which is nice and brings it all to a nice little close. You have more of the goop, which I'm not a fan of. I hate the goop, and more of those eyeball pedestals, which I can't stand. And then finally, once you're in the fortress, you got to fight your way through. You're almost there. You're 98% of the way there. Go through the different portals, utilize the portals for this section of the battle. Trust me, because you are going to be swarmed if you don't. I did for the first round of it, and I completely got my fucking asshole ripped out. So I think that if you're going to play this, you need to utilize the different things that they give you. And after that cool little cutscene, we have more of the steel imps. You know, the ones from earlier, they're a pain in the ass in this section because it's all you have, so they give them to you in full force, and they're like, look, this is how bad it could be, even though they're practically grunts with just a superpower. It can get kind of hellish. Good thing they give you enough shotgun ammo to carry yourself through, and once you're through to that section, oh boy, we have it.
You bring violence and war to thwart the Dark Realm, but conflict was born in hell. It is inevitable. A fire that fuels creation and gives purpose where there is none.
Oh yeah, the Dark Lord. So this is where the scaling comes into play. So for the first half of the battle, I felt like it was way too easy. I mean, granted, I fuck up here a few times, but it gives you a learning curve, which I think they could have done with an implemented challenge. Like, you have some goons in the back there just kind of chilling, Now they're there for the chainsaw, you know, you just got to go up and rip and tear them. So the whole point of this section, what you want to do is you want to wait, just like the Marauders, wait for them to flash green, and then go ahead and hit them with the shoddy, and use the Sentinel Hammer. My God, if you have the charge for it, use it. Because I'm telling you, every little hit you take, you are going to give him health. Now, another thing is, if you're too late on the parry attack, you will give him health. That's the worst part of it. I found that out when he was at a sliver of health. I'm like, what? You can't do that. But it will happen. So the best thing you can do is just, you know, impart patience, be patient, just wait for the opening, because you are not going to brute force your way through this. The whole point of this section is to just kind of study his attack, get the wolves. If you get the wolves, it charges your Sentinel Hammer, but you have to get both of them. If you get one, it's one half. Two is both halves. So make sure that you hang on to it, because you are going to need it. And in this next section is when it starts to get a little bit wilder.
For too long have I been imprisoned by my own creations. You will not stop my vengeance, nor the one who betrayed me. Tell him.
He is the first being, and my creator. When he fell, I ascended.
They lied to you, Slayer. Imora and its people would have been perfect, if not for the treachery of my servants. They sealed me away, stole my power and name. And now, the time has come for a reckoning. As all things were made by my hand, so shall they be unmade, starting with you.
This second half here can be an extreme pain in the ass if you're not careful. You will get overwhelmed by Spectre enemies, which, if you're unfamiliar, you will not get any health pickups. So those goons that are just kind of standing in the corners, utilize them. Hit them with the flame, hit triangle or Y, flame them on, and then hit them with the shoddy and get you some armor, get you some health. They have some health and armor pickups, which I do think help, but make sure you save them until it's absolutely necessary. You will regain health by attacking the Dark Lord standard. Now, if you time it right, you can ignore them, just like I did here when he summons all them specters. But I just went ahead and ignored it because I knew we were done.
His hand, all things were made. Even you.
Now, boy, oh boy, what do I think of the ending? It's kind of bittersweet. It's a really cool ending, and it's kind of tonal, with the Dark Lord being one end of the spectrum and the Doomslayer being the other. Like, one can't exist without the other. And I do think that's an interesting idea. So had the Dark Lord defeated Doomslayer, would the same thing happen? No, I don't think so, but at the same time, it's an interesting idea. And honestly, for me, at first I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? What kind of ending is that? But then after thinking about it introspectively, I'm like, no, it's actually a really cool ending, and it makes sense. What else would he do? What could he do other than just exist? And I think with all the Berserk packs he had, that's like a lore thing. He's had so many Berserk packs that it would like last forever. So he's like incredibly strong for no reason and like always pissed off. So what would he realistically do? And it's just interesting altogether. I'm curious to see what they do past this, if anything. I think the Dark Ages, that is a prequel game, so it'll be interesting to see if they will do anything that's post-eternal or not, and if they'll take the ancient gods into consideration. But all in all, as like a little DLC story pack, part 1 and part 2 were both a lot of fun, and I enjoyed both games to the fullest extent. So with that, everybody, I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all, and 1K gang, let's go.